Hey, how's it going everyone? Teysind here, and today I want to talk about when game developers finish making a game, should they test their games for longer before releasing them to the public? Reason why I talk about this is since we've got an access to the internet with our consoles and patches can easily be implemented. It's almost as if we're seeing games be more lazily released or prematurely released in terms of these games. In what the way they like describing is that the game goes gold and then it's released shortly afterwards. But I feel it's sort of coming out as still in like some sort of beta phase where many of us are actually discovering all these issues. And through that, obviously, companies are then adding patches and stuff to fix the games. But there are several issues I feel there is with this. So obviously the first issue is that some games just come out broken. You know, there are games that come out with issues that are still playable, but there are some just come out with that really sort of make the game not playable, or at least you don't feel like you can enjoy playing it. And things that, you know, in terms of recent news, Mass Effect Andromeda with all the facial animation issues and stuff like that, you'd think that they would have spent much more time after finishing the game to make sure it was polished. Things like Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 together on the PS4. To see it finally come to the PS4 after so long, and to have, although it had some issues that were on the PS3 versions fixed, but to still have issues remain and in its place new issues that essentially are really breaking the game in ways, in terms of, crashing with the save files. Awesome Stuff HD recently did a video talking about some of these issues, which he also relates to BizKit's video. If you haven't seen either of them, check them out in the links below. Awesome channels. But still, it's sort of like the issues with having games patched, after release is one, when the game comes out and it's broken, either it affects your gameplay in the sense that, again, if you're trying to save your game and it crashes, you lose time that you put into it. Two, it sort of, you become very hyped to play a game, and when you get it, if it has these issues, it sort of affects your enjoyment of that game. And although you can wait to eventually play that game, maybe it won't have the same feeling. But lastly, and I feel like is the most important aspect, is if I want to play these games 20 or 30 years from now, and maybe I don't have a PS4 anymore, or something's happened, my PS4 broke or something like that, and I had to get a new PS4. I wanted to play Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix. But by that time, these servers are down and you can't get the patches anymore. Then essentially, you have what is a game that may either not be complete, or there are so many issues with it that you can't play the game because it just affects the way that the game is played. And I think this is a shame, because I want to be able to enjoy these games, for as long as I can, at least until, the discs are unplayable anymore, physically in terms of disc rotting and stuff. But I don't want to be able to, put in a game 20 years from now and all of a sudden I just don't have access to the patches anymore, and essentially I'm playing a game that maybe you get to certain points and you just can't progress because of issues. And this really upsets me. So I would love to see game developers, what I'd like to describe as is, not just the game going gold, but they spend, even if it's 6 months of them playing it, hiring people to play it. So they're playing it like from the experience of a consumer, and they're discovering these issues. And then what we get is a game that I like to say has gone platinum. And that is what I want in a video game, especially now. I don't want the developers to be take a step back or feel like they've got this backup of access to internet to allow them to implement patches. They should, days with the PS2 and everything prior I felt like games were much more solid, or there's much less issues then. And if there were, I know I'm thinking of a game like, I think it was the second Tonelico game. Biophoenix actually told me about this originally, which I looked up later. The game, when it first came out in NTSC regions, there was an error, I believe it was with a certain boss, and I think maybe by the second or the third move or something, it crashed, and basically it broke the game. You couldn't progress any further. But by the time the PAL release came out later, at least they fixed that issue. So at least there was a physical release that had the issues fixed, and although that's not the best, but still at least they were able to physically release the game in some form that had these issues fixed, as opposed to, you know, just having all the copies out there in the world with all these issues and either requiring a patch now, or if back then, you know, you would have had all the copies in the world with a game breaking issue that you just could never finish the game with unless you did some sort of workaround and stuff. But yeah, anyways, let me know your thoughts on that, guys, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sharing and subscribing, and until next video, stay spot on.